Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to a new video on East Coast Manga. So today I want to talk about my recommendations on series that I think you should start out if you either haven't collected manga before or haven't read manga before. Maybe you're transitioning from anime to manga, maybe you have never even gotten into anime. But these are series that I started with and I really like, so this is all my personal preference. This isn't like, going on the Mal website and giving you a list based off that. Like, this is all stuff that I've read and that I think are really good series to just sink you into manga and show you really what manga can bring to the table. Now, if you know me and you've seen my collection, I kind of lean more towards the seinen and darker manga, sometimes even getting very dark. That's just what I enjoy. I've always kind of been into horror movies and that whole section, so this list kind of leans towards that, but I've saved that for the end. I want to get through the stuff that I think anyone can get into and is very, very general. And because I sectioned this video off, I haven't, there's no order to things. This is all volumes that I think you really are going to enjoy if you haven't read these yet. But that's enough talking, let's get right into the video. So to start off, of course, we have the big three. Now I wanted to include these because obviously I almost actually feel obligated to include these, but I don't actually feel like they're great series to start. But if you've already watched the anime for these, I think that would be an easier transition into these manga, but I don't think if you haven't watched the anime, these are necessarily great, only because there's so many volumes, so it can definitely feel overwhelmed when you look at how much you have to read to finish the series or get to where the series is at. But these are the big three for a reason. These have the best sales of all time, essentially. So I don't know, I did kind of feel obligated just to include these and just talk about them at least a little bit. But next on the list that I think everyone can kind of get into is The God's Lie. This is something that, at least on YouTube, it is definitely recommended a lot, and for good reason. It's a great manga. It's almost like two different mangas in one, if that makes sense. There's the story the first half and the story in the second half. But I review this, and this video, I'm not sure if it's going to be uploaded before or after the review. Either check that out or stay tuned for that, because it's also a one-shot and it's just really, really great in terms of not having to buy more volumes. So next we have The Promised Neverland. This is a really great series. This is one of the first series that I got when I started collecting manga. Not like the first couple, but this is the first real series that I got into, and it really just sunk me in, and I think it could probably do the same with just any general audience. Now, this is very popular. It definitely, with the manga and the anime, both doing pretty well in numbers. But for anyone who hasn't tried this yet, I absolutely recommend trying this. It starts off very wholesome and everything, but then it takes this dark twist without being, it's pretty dark without being too graphically dark. I think this is a series that works out for everyone. Next we have A Silent Voice. Now I probably don't even need to say much about this series. There's only about 7 or 8 volumes, I think, but if you've watched the movie, you know how great this series is. This just goes into a little more detail. It has a couple more arcs or storylines, I guess you could call it. But honestly, this is a really great manga, and it's just very emotional and moving, I guess you could say. And I think it really is just great for absolutely everyone. Next up is Beastars. Once again, I think this is another manga that is great for everyone. I think this manga catches a lot of grief, which is unfortunate because usually it's people who haven't read it or watched it who give it the most grief. But honestly, if you read this, volume 1 through 5 is what's released right now. And I know I'm kind of recommending this a little bit early, but honestly, with volume 5, this series just took a total turn to dark and just more world building. It's really, really good. I think it has the potential for one of the best world building mangas available. But I also talk about this manga and review it and kind of give my recommendations on it, so if you want to check that video out, go ahead. And then next, as we're getting closer and closer to darker seinen, we have Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga Volume 1 is just unbelievable. I know it's very hyped up right now, and everyone talks good about it. There's very little people who talk bad, but it's really well deserving. I also bought this first volume around the same time I bought the first volume of Promised Neverland, but just the artwork and everything about it is just really, really good. And as soon as I finished it, I knew I wanted to get volume 2. It's a little more expensive, but it's really nice quality. It's a bigger manga, so you obviously have, more space for larger pictures, larger graphics and artwork, and just everything's so great about this first volume. I absolutely recommend it for anyone, basically. So next, as we're getting a little darker, I recommend Death Note. Now, you can get this in multiple different versions. You have the Black Edition, you have the box set, you have the all-in-one edition, you could go with the singles. There's so many different versions that you could get this at a pretty good price. Now, I love this version. This is the Black Edition with the black pages. It's just very, 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 very cool looking. And it's also an omnibus, so You don't have to collect as many volumes, but I would probably recommend the all-in-one edition to people who want to save some money and maybe save some shelf space. But this is just an absolutely classic anime slash manga. Next on the list, I don't own it in person, but I read it online, finished the entire series, is Parasite. Parasite is really, really good, and I think Parasite is definitely one of the best mangas to give to someone who doesn't read manga, especially if they're someone who is fine with like darker manga and more like graphic details, I guess you could say, because the artwork is really cool in there and the story's great and just everything about it is just really, really cool and interesting in my opinion. So the next manga I recommend, and this is more to a select group of people who like darker, more horror manga, or I guess to people who want to try out darker manga, more horror-esque manga, something that is really gonna like shock them, I guess you could say, is I would definitely recommend anything Junji Ito. I own right now I Am No Longer Human, but specifically, I don't know if I'd start with this one, but I would definitely recommend starting with either, Tomi Uzumaki or Gyo. I wouldn't necessarily go with his other ones. I know there's one, Dissolving Classroom and Shiver and something about Frankenstein. I don't know if I would recommend those, but I would definitely recommend the three I just said because those definitely seem to be more of his popular manga. Also apologize throughout this video, my tripod is like slowly coming down and down and down and I just can't do anything about it right now. So the last manga on my list is absolutely definitely not for everyone. If you enjoy happy anime or think you're gonna enjoy happy manga and want to stick to like the slice of life or shonen series, I don't know if I would recommend getting into this, and especially if you're of the younger audience, which I don't think I have too many of probably for this video, but if you're okay with graphic detail and anything from like just absolute violence and murder and sex and just anything you can think of basically, I highly, highly, highly recommend Battle Royale. Battle Royale is 100% worth the hype and just everything else that comes with it. I have a future video coming out where I talk about where in my manga process I read Battle Royale, but it's an absolutely unbelievable manga if you're into like just super violent and just I can't even describe Battle Royale. It's like, I would almost say it's like Hunger Games or like the Fortnite idea where you have 100 people, but similar to Hunger Games, but like just way more violent and way more graphic. Now, unfortunately, that is not being printed right now, so the volumes that you can buy are pretty damn expensive. Now, at the point you're watching this video, I don't know what the price is. But I know when making this video, the prices are absolutely absolutely through this roof, and you're really not supporting the manga industry by paying resellers like an absolutely absorbent amount of money. Personally, I don't support reading scans for manga that's legally available, especially through the publisher. But like I said, I also don't really support third-party sellers who are absolutely scamming people with their prices. And hopefully too many of you guys don't take offense to that, but I mean, what are you going to do when publishers refuse to reprint or give decent translations? So that's been it for this video. I hope this kind of helped you, whether you're a new manga reader or whether you're someone who was just looking for suggestions. But I'd love to hear them down in the comment section. What are like 3 to 5 titles that you would absolutely recommend to a new manga reader or someone who's just getting into manga? And yeah, it's been it for this video. I'll catch you guys later.